let's create a brand new project in our XTBC folder. So to do that, we want to mkdir, mkdir, make a directory. I'm going to call it Baywatch. It'll be a lot easier for me if you call it that too. But well, Michael Bay spells it with an E, with an A. Yeah, I mean, I get that. But I mean, pick your pun. Do you want the Bay pun or do you want the? I mean, we could call it Bay is Bay, like you said. But yes, it is, because in Baywatch, it's referring to a bay, the body of water. In Michael Bay, it's referring to his last name. That's right. We have to go deeper. Whatever. Bay, I'm just spelling it right. Whatever. Feel free to misspell it if you want to. Now, this next part's very important. Please don't forget to do this. Change into that directory before you create your Git repository. So cd space Baywatch. So make sure you are in that before we try to create a Git repo. All right. I know that's typing a few letters is pretty complicated and needs much discussion. All right, let's go out to our GitHub and go ahead and create a new repository named the same. Once again, we won't initialize it up here. We'll just create the repository. Having done that, it gives us this stuff again. This time we haven't run git init yet, so we could do this version. Create a new repository on the command line. But let's do it one command at a time so we can talk about these things. This one looks neat. Okay, echo space quote hash Baywatch. I'll capitalize B. I could even put Michael Baywatch in here. So echo just prints something to standard output in your terminal. So it's just going to print this to the screen, except this operator here means what you would have printed to the screen, instead write to this file that I'm about to tell you. readme.md. So now if I look at the contents of my Baywatch folder with ls, I see readme.md. I'm going to go ahead and open up Visual Studio Code in this directory. So code space dot, right? Code to open Visual Studio Code, dot to tell it open it in the current directory. That way my context is just limited to this one thing, and I don't clutter it up with anything else. And I'll look at my README file, and sure enough, there's hash Michael Baywatch. Yeah. Okay, I'll look at that in just a sec. So let's talk real quick. Let's talk. We can look at this in a second. Hold on to your problems for just a moment. Let's talk about Markdown for just a second. That's kind of the default format for READMEs on GitHub. Markdown is a really nice text format developed by a guy named John Gruber who does daringfireball.net. And the nice thing about it, it translates to HTML really well, and it remains readable in plain text. I don't know about you, but I don't think with a bunch of tag soup, things are terribly readable. So just put a hash at the beginning of the line, and it's an H1. Just put some dang text. A catalog of Michael Bay's extensive filmography. And that's a paragraph. It's automatically going to turn that into a paragraph. Put blank lines and more stuff, that's a paragraph too. Unordered list. How might you do it if you were using plain text and didn't have formatting? Oh, maybe like this. Sure enough, that turns it into a bulleted list in HTML. When I italicize something, just do this. Italicize. Want to bold it? What you might do if you want to get somebody's attention or emphasize a word in a text message or something. Totally works. A couple stars for bold, 1 underline for italics. And actually, it's the number of those things, not which one you choose. So actually, you could do 1 star for italics or 2 underlines for bold, but everyone uses 1 underline for italics, 2 for bold. And Slack, this is one of my least favorite things about Slack, doesn't support Markdown, but it supports a few little tiny pieces of Markdown. But it does 1 star for bold. It's kind of irritating because it does so many of the other things. Because one of the best parts is if you put a backtick around something, then it does that like a code snippet. It shows it in a monospace font. Totally works in Slack as well. If you have a block that you want to show up as code, 3 backticks on a line above, 3 backticks on a line below. Also works in Slack. So when I put long code snippets in Slack, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting 3 backticks, pasting in my code, and then 3 backticks. Keeps it from doing things like turning it into an emoji or something if you happen to have, colon parenthesis in there. Now this is all we need in our README for the moment. Okay, we've got a file in here now. So the next things it does, it runs get init, it adds README, it commits that, and then it runs these 2 lines that we usually copy and paste. So let's just one at a time run these again. So now that we have a file in there, and remember, run this line in this folder. Don't run it in like your home directory accidentally and add everything to a Git repository. All right, can't do git add, right? I meant git init. Need to actually make a Git repository first. All right, initialize empty Git repository. Oh my gosh, a whole new repository. I might faint, it's so much work. Now, we need to add that file. We just created a whole new Git repository. Oh my gosh, I might faint, it's so much work. So git add, we could git add readme specifically, or we could git add star. Either way. I meant dot, thank you. What did I just do? I just took the readme from my working tree and put it in my Git index. I staged it for commit so that when I do run commit, that's what will be committed. So let's git commit with a message initial commit. Can we push? No, because we don't have any remotes. Yeah, we created a repository on GitHub, but we never told our local repository that, did we? So we need to create a remote. So looking at those lines that we usually copy and paste, git remote add, and then we name it origin, and then here's the URL of your repository. So we can just copy these 2 lines like we did before. The first one tells it about GitHub. So once I've done that, I have this over here, origin. But I could have other remotes. And when I say push, it doesn't necessarily know where to push it to. So we need to tell it the first time we do it. We say git push -u, which means from now on, track this remote. Here's the name of the remote. Here's the name of the branch on the remote. And go ahead and use master. Use this line as is. I'm going to do morning, but don't do that, because if it's not on master, that complicates things. Yeah, I know it doesn't yet. Oh, I did commit, right? Oh yeah, I didn't commit anything to. Okay. Origin morning. There we go. Yay. So git push -u origin master, and then if you refresh this page on GitHub, there's your repository with your README, with your 1 commit, and look, Beautiful. Brand new Git repository. And I suppose we could go ahead and set up GitHub Pages for this one. Why not? Why not do it from the beginning? Just go over to Settings. Choose your branch. And hit Save. In my case, I have to do that just slightly differently. And once you've done that, then it'll tell you where it's published. And you can copy that URL. Second project for Extern Bootcamp 2017. Session 3. Cool.